Everyone is familiar with the regular moving average. It's one of the most basic and easy to understand indicators there is. But what if we want something more advanced and powerful for trading? Something that automatically adapts to the current market conditions. In this video, we're going to talk about 3 adaptive moving averages and how you can get them for TradingView and apply them effectively. First off, we have the DSMA, or Deviation Scaled Moving Average. Just looking at it on the chart, we can see it behaves quite differently than a regular moving average. It quickly adapts and reacts to price movement while also remaining relatively flat when price action is choppy. But you'll notice we still need to put an input length for the indicator, even though the indicator itself is adaptive. If we still have to choose the length manually, how is it still adaptive? Changing the length for the DSMA even works the same as changing the length for a regular simple moving average. The longer the length, the less responsive the indicator becomes, but the more noise it filters out. So what's the point of an adaptive moving average if the length isn't adapting to the market? What's actually adapting? If you've seen my other video on moving averages, you'll know the difference between an exponential moving average and a simple moving average. The exponential moving average just says more recent time points are more important than older time points, unlike a simple moving average which weights all past data the same. But neither the simple moving averages or the exponential moving average is adaptive. So how are they relevant to the adaptive moving averages? Let's just think of a regular exponential moving average first. All you need to know about it is that it weights more recent time points is more important than the past time points. But we can actually control how much we weight more recent time points by changing the alpha parameter of the EMA. So even though we have a window length which we set before, how the data in that window is weighted is dependent on the alpha parameter. With a regular EMA, alpha stays the same all of the time, even though the bars in the window are weighted differently, with more recent ones being more important. But the weighting curve stays the same at all times. That's the key difference between adaptive moving averages and regular moving averages like the EMA. This alpha parameter is dynamically changed in accordance with some market condition. Now it should begin to make sense why we still have to set a fixed length for the indicator. The length isn't being dynamically adjusted, but the importance of the more recent and past data points is. This is the case for the DSMA and the next moving averages we're about to cover. The DSMA alters the alpha parameter based on the deviation of the price from the mean. This means when the price is choppy and not moving directionally, the DSMA will tend to stay flat and not rapidly follow a choppy market. When the deviation from the mean increases and the market starts moving rapidly in one direction, the DSMA quickly adapts and the alpha parameter is increased. Weighting more recent data points is more important than past data points, thus becoming more reactive to new price movement. For these next moving averages, we're not going to go into detail about how specifically this alpha parameter is adjusted in this video, as they're a bit more complicated than the DSMA. But now you have an idea about how dynamic moving averages work fundamentally, and the next ones follow the same concept. They simply take data within a window and decide how important the recent data points are by changing the alpha parameter based on some metric. Next, we have the FRAMA, or Fractal Moving Average. Like the DSMA, the goal is to rapidly change during relevant price movements while slowing down in periods of consolidation. It changes the alpha parameter based on the fractal dimension, which is roughly a measure of how jagged the market is. As the market becomes more jagged and less smooth, the fractal moving average becomes more smooth and less reactive to whipsaws in price. Now, let's look at the last and most advanced adaptive moving average we've covered so far. This is the MAMA, or Mother of Adaptive Moving Averages. It's actually 2 moving averages in one. It creates another line based on the MAMA called the FAMA, which we can use to create trading systems and strategies. The biggest difference to using the MAMA versus the previous ones we have discussed is that this moving average doesn't actually have a length setting. Instead, we have a fast limit and slow limit setting, which might be confusing at first. All these settings do is set the range for the alpha parameter's adaptation. We basically set an upper and lower bound for how much the moving average can adapt. In practice, this controls how smooth or reactive the indicator is. As for a trading system, we can use both lines to create a basic line crossover system. There's a color fill in between both lines to see the crossovers more clearly. All of these moving averages were created by John Elhers, and I highly recommend reading the links to the papers for them in the description if you want to know more detail about how they were created. I made a TradingView indicator where I combined all of these moving averages into one where you can apply and test them for yourself. Use the link in the description and click the blue button with the star, and the indicator will appear in your favorites where you can put it on your chart. If you're interested in more advanced indicators, check out the Quantifica Patreon, where you can get access to the entire library of all current and future premium Quantifica indicators. Link in the description. If you found this video useful, a like would be greatly appreciated. If you want to see more videos like this, go ahead and subscribe.